Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 764, and today's date is September 13th, 2015, and the title of this episode is The Current Economic Collapse News Brief. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, we understand the powers that be, the corporate media, the governments of the world, the central bankers. They've been out there telling us that we're in this incredible recovery, that things are getting better. We had Europe revise their GDP numbers to make it look like they're doing better. Canada, for the last 7 years, was saying that they were in this incredible recovery. Housing was fantastic. Prices were continually going up. And we're seeing that Canada has been hit by this huge recession. Now, we never really got out of this recession that they're talking about. Actually, it was more like a collapse at that time, and all they did was basically create this illusion that everything was fine. But now we're starting to see that the bubbles are bursting. And Canada, their home prices, they're dropping the most in 2 years. The bubble has begun to burst. The oil patch in Canada, their confidence is crashing. Banks are at risk. And right now we're set for a complete implosion of the housing market. And we hear financial experts out there saying, yes, there's going to be some type of correction. Well, do you really think it's only going to be in Canada? This is the only place? No, it's going to happen everywhere. The system right now, the way it is, was completely propped up by the central bankers. That's it. They created this fake economy. And right now, when we look at Canada, we see Calgary and Alberta has about 1.7 million square feet of empty office space, the most in North America, with another 5.2 million under construction. The downtown vacancy rate rose to 13% from 10%. There are 5.2 million square feet of office space under construction in Calgary right now, which is the largest amount of new commercial space being built in any city in Canada. And guess what? That's going to push the vacancy rate way up. We can see it's already starting. It's not getting better. I mean, I look here in the United States. I've been looking around the country, and I've been saying this for quite a while right now. And of course, I had people write in, no, it's not happening in my area, but this will spread. Don't you understand? It's the same thing that happened in 2008. Well, there is one difference. It's much worse this time. All those people who lost their homes, short sales, foreclosures, they lost their jobs, lost their life savings, lost their retirement. They never really got back on their feet. Their credit was ruined. That was the first wave. Here comes the second and last wave. I mean, we have the ex-New York Stock Exchange chief admitting, yeah, this is not a fair market, and it's bad for the country. Dick Grasso, the former head of the New York Stock Exchange, saying that the flash crash exposes the reality that, yeah, it's not a fair market, and it's going to be very hard to regain the collapsed confidence of the investor class. And how can we be in a capitalistic environment if the central bank is controlling everything? Even the amount of stocks that are being purchased in the stock market. They're the only ones that are in the market. He went on to say, creating an advantage to an institutional user or a particular type of trader that disadvantages the retail investor is bad for the country, bad for the markets, and bad for everyone's business. Yeah, he's right. It's an illusion. That's really what he's saying. And there are signs that the political, financial elite, the government, the central bankers, they already know there's another crisis coming. I mean, we see the fluctuations in the market. This always precedes the big collapse. And they know that another crisis is coming. And what are they doing right now? Well, they're trying to convince us that we're in a recovery. But they've been implementing moves to prepare for the next crisis. One of the clearest is the decision to accept physical gold bullion as collateral for paper trades. From August 28th of 2012, unallocated gold will be accepted by LCH ClearNet Limited as collateral for margin cover purposes. CME Clearing Europe will accept physical gold as collateral, extending the list of assets it's prepared to receive as regulators globally push more derivatives trading through clearinghouses. China's Shanghai Gold Exchange said it will allow physical gold to be used as collateral on future contracts from September 29th, according to a statement posted just about a week ago. Physical gold will be permitted to be used for up to 80% of margin value. These are clear signals that large financial firms are aware that most derivatives, future options, etc., will be completely worthless during the next crisis. Another sign that the powers, the government officials, the central bankers, know that something nasty is approaching comes from recent legislation being implemented to make it much harder to move money into physical cash. Very interesting. The regulation is called Rules Provide Structural and Operational Reform to Address Run Risks in Money Market Funds. Under the rules, if a money market fund level of weekly liquid assets falls below 30%, a money market fund board could, in its discretion, temporarily suspend redemptions. In simple terms, if the system is ever under duress, like we had back in 2008, money markers funds can lock in capital, meaning that you can't get your money out for up to 10 days. If the financial system was so healthy and stable, there's no reason for the regulators to do any of this, to implement these type of regulations. But they know that something is coming. They understand this. And if you look, they're continually preparing for what is coming to protect themselves. And this is why I keep saying, if they're protecting themselves, you need to protect yourselves. I mean, they already know what's going to happen. And we're all here saying, okay, they know, now we know. And this is why I'm saying, get your food, get your water, get your medical supplies, get your weapon, have cash, have gold, have silver. If you're buying this stuff, don't stop, because there will come a point where you will stop because you will not be able to get it. If you just started and you want to ramp up very quickly, you can go to lifereliance.com. They have water, they have filters, they have food. You can customize your packages. Very easy to do. No matter how you're doing this, it doesn't matter at this point. What you need to do is just do it. And we know the petrodollar is at its end game. I mean, Russia surpassed Saudi Arabia as the largest oil supplier to China. And what's especially notable is that beginning in 2015, Gazprom began selling all of its crude sales to China in yuan. Not the dollar, the yuan. Now, just as China has moved to play a greater role in determining the price of gold by participating in the LBMA auction and by establishing a yuan-denominated fix, it's moving quickly to create a yuan-denominated oil futures contract. The derivatives contract would give Shanghai International Energy Exchange, known as INE, a slice of an oil futures market worth trillions of dollars. And this will rival Brent and U.S. West Texas Intermediate. It has begun. The petrodollar is dying. We see this out in the Middle East. They are completely losing control. We see right now that the inner circle of Obama, they were forging the reports about how they were doing against the Islamic State. Now, we all know. Now, of course, everyone's, oh, well, that's conspiracy. Of course, the Islamic State is not part of the U.S., but we see now it is. And they've been manipulating the reports to show that, oh no, we're winning against them. Because what's really going on here is they are using the Islamic State, the proxy army of the United States government, the coalition forces, Israel, to go after Assad. This is the plan all along. And people were feeling uncomfortable about this. Why are we lying? Why are we pretending we're basically hitting them much harder than we really are? Why are we pretending that we're winning against them when we're really not? Because the whole thing is an illusion, just like the economy. And we have this huge refugee crisis, and they're playing this up very big. We see countries now shutting down their borders. Germany, Austria, Czechs, they're all saying, you know something? We're implementing border controls right now. We can't have all these refugees rushing into our countries. Now, why do we have these refugees? It's because the United States policy of going into a country, removing the government, and placing in a puppet government, all for the central bankers. And they'll do whatever they have to do to make this happen. And they don't care who they kill, what happens to the people. They could care less about that. We see right now that the U.S. Embassy in Iraq is on high alert. And we had a lot of alerts going around about Chad, about South Africa. We have Iraq right now saying that the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, they announced that the embassy is in state of maximum alert at this point. So they're planning on something big to happen here. And you can see they're definitely getting ready for this. And as we know, that things are not going to get better whatsoever. As time goes on, it's going to get worse. Why? Why is it going to get worse? Because now they have to make the move to remove Assad. They're running out of time. The economies of the world, they're falling apart. What do you think? The recession in Canada, that's it? Do you think they revised the numbers in Europe for no particular reason, but just to revise and make it look good? No, they know the economies are falling. Here in the United States, they get it. Look at the stock market. They're having a hard time right now using the high-frequency traders and the plunge protection team just to keep it above flatline. I mean, think about what's happening here. And of course, the population will say, oh, the economy failed once the market finally takes a dive. But the economy has been failing for a long time, just that no one's paying attention. And of course, what are they getting ready for? They're getting ready for a major event to occur. How it's going to happen, we don't know for sure. But we do know that something is about to happen. How do we know this? Well, we have all this propaganda. They've been talking about cyber attacks, cyber 9/11, a cyber Pearl Harbor. They blamed North Korea. They blamed China. They blamed Russia. They're imposing sanctions. They're saying that the Islamic State will be coming to the United States. They're saying they're breaking up into lone wolf groups. And now they're using the refugee crisis as another propaganda trick. General John Allen is out there. He's saying that the Islamic State militants are going to sneak into America under the guise of a refugee. And this is going to happen all throughout Europe. They already have reports saying that, yes, all these refugees, and among them, it's the Islamic State. And they're sneaking into the countries, breaking off into the lone wolf groups. We don't know where they are. He said we should be conscious of the potential that Daesh, which is another name for the Islamic State, may attempt to embed agents within the population. We already know they have this plan. This has been planned for a long time. This is not something that just happened. All operatives are standing by. They're just waiting for the green light. And through all this propaganda and all these scare tactics and fear-mongering that the government is doing, that our government officials are doing, not me. This is coming from them. They're paving the road to let everyone know this is how it's going to happen. And we know it's not the Islamic State. We know it's an inside job. We know it's going to be a false flag. Why do they have to do this? Well, they need the authorization for war pass, which is pending in Congress. They need traction. They don't have any traction right now. And the only way to get traction is to scare the people. False flags are used to scare and to place fear in the people to do things they normally wouldn't do, like go to war, give up their rights. And this is what they're planning for. This is what they use 9/11 for. This is what they use Boston bombing for. This is what they use all the mass shootings for. And they're planning for it right now. So we see the economy collapsing. We see they're planning, using a lot of propaganda, trying to convince us of this is what's going to happen. They've already told us who the enemies are: Russia, China, North Korea, Syria, and others. They're already laying it out for us. So this way it's very clear of why we're going to war. The only thing they didn't tell the masses is that it's them who is doing this. It's them, and when I say them, the U.S. government central bankers, who are creating these instances around the world about them provoking Russia, provoking China, making up that North Korea and others have just been cyber attacking. You know it's fake as soon as they come out an hour later and they know exactly who it is. Because when an advanced actor cyber attacks, they bounce it off servers. You think they do it right from their governmental offices and they do it right from their server there and they attack from their known IP address? No! They bounce it off many different countries. And it is very, very hard to track, because if it was so easy to track where all this was coming from, you wouldn't get spam. We wouldn't have a problem blocking every single attack. It'd be very easy. This is how you know it's all fake. And everyone needs to be prepared. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.